සතුට බෙදන නම
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සැනසුම දෙන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
අවස නිවන නම
සතුට බෙදන නම
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සැනසුම දෙන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
අවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිංහ අත විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with current accounts from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank. Keep growing.
Some see a myriad of possibilities ready to break out in glory. The choice of every Sri Lankan. No limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිලි ශක්තිමත් ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සුරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසායි ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සුරි zero කරන නැවුම් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ඒ වගේම ඉස්සුරි වලින් නිදහස් ක්ලියර් මෙන් ඉස්සුරි zero කරයි ලෝවාංක එකේ මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
සතුට බෙදන නම
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සැනසුම දෙන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
අවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිංහ අත විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with home loans, education loans and vehicle loans from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank. Keep growing.
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
energetic and daring. Some see the world in vibrant shades. The choice of every Sri Lankan. No limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිලි ශක්තිමත් ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සුරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසායි ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සුරි zero කරන නැවුම් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ඒ වගේම ඉස්සුරි වලින් නිදහස් ක්ලියර් මෙන් Isuri Zero Cry. Luwangka Eke Men's Shampoo.
And Lantra now. Lantra has some pace. He's going to go straight outside. He's going to go all the way.
This is Harry Bandara. Runs around. What a brilliant try.
Draws and passes. Beautifully done. Joseph's going in for the try, and it's a try. A very good afternoon, a nice dry hot afternoon here at CRNFC as we look out over the Longdon Place ground, which looks a picture despite the rain that has been pelting down on Colombo over the last few weeks, and especially yesterday. The weather looks fantastic for rugby, a bit of cloud cover, but the humidity not as bad as we have experienced as Wesley take on Royal College. Wesley the hosts in this and hosting the defending champions and the unbeaten team of the season so far alongside St. Peter's. They have been the title favorites since they came out in their first match against Kingswood and have not looked back since that day. And Wesley are struggling a little bit in their first round, but they've managed to get a couple of wins, advance into the second round, and they're well and truly in the cup competition now, looking for what would be their fourth win rather, in the season so far, if they can do an upset over Royal College. But that looks like a very tough ask against this Royal College side that has put all before them and put them all to bed. And joining me in the commentary box to talk us through that season that they've had so far and look forward to this game as well, which should be an entertaining game, former Royal College skipper Abdullah Yusuf joins me in the ThePapare commentary box. Abdullah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I think today we can expect a pretty open game from both sides. I think the middle balls have been kind on us. The teams who have cleared up. The ground conditions also look firm. The overnight rain, or rather the rain over the last few days, has definitely freshened the ground up a bit. And I think from Royal's point of view, I think Zahira, I thought they were rather sluggish at the break. They allowed Zahira to turn position over around 6 times, which is very unusual from a Royal side. I think that's an area which I'm sure Coach Lushan Duque would have addressed during this week. And from Wesley's point of view, I think the key will be on what kind of position they will get. I think they've got some wonderful backs who can really cause problems to this Royal three-quarter line. But the key for them will be what kind of position. If the forwards can give them some good quality position, then I think Wesley can definitely pose a threat to this Royal team.
Well, that's going to be a difficult one for the Wesley forwards in the face of this Royal forward pack, but it's a thunderstorm expected later on tonight, but hopefully that will be after 6 o'clock before this game finishes at minimum of 26 degrees. That will be nice. It's about 29 now, which is a decent temperature, and it's pretty strong wind though, Abdullah, that might come in through 16 kilometers an hour. Who has the advantage of that wind towards the last few minutes of the game is going to be what's important.
Yes, so that could really be the key, but at the same time, the wind directions and the strength of the wind can change as the game progresses. But both these teams generally like to keep the ball in hand rather than kick. So I think that may not be too much of an issue, but as you said, running with the wind and against the wind is two different things. So overall, I think both teams will look to keep the ball in hand. Will look to try and create phases. Wesley will probably look to try and spread the ball, get the ball out to their back three as much as possible. and try and play the game away from the Royal forwards. I think that will be the key from Wesley's point of view.
And Wesley has been getting better and better as the season has gone on, Abdullah. They started a bit weakly. Of course, they scored in their first match against St. Peter's. They scored with pretty much their first touch of the ball. A fantastic backline move, probably something that's going to be up there with the try of the season. As we look at the highlights from last week, we have Isipatana taking on Kingswood. And that was one of the scores that proved crucial to Isipatana at the end of the day. Manika Ruberu putting over a three-pointer. And here's a try that came in for Kingswood, managing to slide in over that mud. And 5 points to 3, Kingswood led at half-time. But they let the game slip away from them, Abdullah, without too much pressure. Anjula going in there, a brilliant try from him. And he has been one of the real stars in that forward pack for Isipatana, and a superb conversion which proved to be absolutely desperately necessary for Isipatana as the game finished by 10 points to 5. Kingswood through Ekanayaka there just couldn't get the ball down into the 22 there, and that was a possession that turned it over, and the game also finishing a little bit of a unsightly scuffle. Royal here against Zaira.
Yes, Royal, as we mentioned earlier, they got off to a flying start. They scored over 36 points in that first half. Janu Dilshan and the rest of the Royal three quarters having their way. Zahira striking back with a try after about the 30th minute, and Royal just continued to pile on the points. But it was in the second half that Zahira definitely just raised their performance. I thought that defensive effort in that second half was first class. Tuleb Hassan having an outstanding game, running in a hat-trick. And Zahira, if they just managed to get their set piece right in that game, managed to get a bit more possession, I'm sure they could have caused a few more problems for Royal. But Royal also too were just trying to get their feet after a tough couple of weeks against Trinity in the Rugby.
And here's the next game, Wesley versus St. Joseph's. This was a match where Wesley were actually leading in the 65th minute despite Gamunu Chetia's first try there. Scored a hat-trick in the course of the game. Murshid Zubair, who's one of the key men for Wesley, putting over that first penalty, and Wesley scoring in the corner as well. They've got some really good backs, as Abdullah was saying earlier. They've got some good understanding and cohesion in their backline moves, but it doesn't matter. You can have the best backs in the world if you can't get the ball to them. Nothing really is going to change. Gamunu Chetia following up a deep kick and managing to score the third of his hat-trick. There he goes again. Outstanding work from Sri Lanka's junior skipper, who took the Sri Lankan team to the Commonwealth, but it was him that took the game away from Wesley. And here is St. Peter's against Trinity College. Also a game that St. Peter's will look back at and think that they could have done a bit better.
Yes, definitely. But again, I think they'll be pretty pleased that they managed to go up to Kandy and win the game, as well as managing to secure that bonus point, which could prove vital in the final analysis of this league. But overall, I think they will need to brush up on a few areas. I thought maybe defensively they were a bit vulnerable, and if they're looking at that final encounter against Royal and even St. Joseph's for next week for that matter, I think they will need to sharpen up a bit. But I think they've got some good forwards who can actually cause problems to even the Royal pack. So that will be an interesting contest when that comes up. But I think overall, Coach Sanat Martis will be pretty pleased that they managed to go up to Pallakele and secure a win.
Lovely decoy run from Ranaraja there, allowing Sakalasuriya straight through that gap. And here's Trinity coming back strongly into this game. A run that probably should have been defended much better, and they were better yesterday against Kingswood, but didn't get the bonus point that they so desperately wanted. They couldn't keep the pressure on Royal, so they've conceded 1 point to Royal at the top of that league. So those are the results from last week. Big win for Royal, 41 points to 5. Isipatana a nail-biter up in Nittawala, 10 points to 5. And St. Peter's enough to get the bonus point and the win, despite Trinity coming back fairly close late on in that game. And Wesley against St. Joseph's, they would have fancied their chances at the end of that game, but just that belief that they can win, Abdullah, is something that seems to be missing from them.
Yes, that's right. It also, winning just does become a habit, and I think the more you win, the more confident you are going into those last 10 minutes of the big games. As you see the Royal team walking into the dressing room to get into their match jerseys after quite a strenuous warm-up. I think all the it's been quite sunny. I think the humidity levels is not that great. So I think both coaches have opted to have a very strong and very tough warm-up session that will ensure that the boys are ready to go at kick-off time.
Well, that's something I've always been in two minds about. We've spoken about it before as well, Abdullah. I wonder whether some of the warm-ups that we see international teams do, especially because rugby is a winter sport in other parts of the world, that they come into colder temperatures. It's raining a lot of the time, and they don't really need to go into this level of warm-up in countries where it's this hot. They just need to come up there and do a few drills and get ready to play. There's St. Peter's who have gone to the top, but that's only for today because Royal haven't played yet over the course of the weekend. St. Joseph's at third, Isipatana, Kingswood, Wesley. There's a lot to play for between those places, 4, 5 and 6. You look at the gap between Wesley and Kingswood. Wesley could go up to 5th place today, Abdullah, if they win, and if they win handsomely today, or even if they get 2 bonus points, they can match Kingswood where they are.
Yes, definitely. I think most teams at this top 5, 6, 7 and 8 play for positions more or less. I think the other teams all have a shout when it comes to title if results work out. But I think there is a lot to play for these teams that they have done well to make it to the cup segment, and they will all be looking to try and increase their ranking in the final table.
Well, Royal will be looking to go back to the top of the table where they feel they rightfully belong with 6 points here today, 5 points to the win, and they'll want a bonus point for 4 tries as well. So that will take them up to 41 points. St. Joseph's and St. Peter's, on the other hand, if St. Joseph's win their game this weekend, then they will go up towards St. Peter's as well. They might be able to get to 36 points, and that'll put the pressure really on St. Peter's to make sure they don't get beaten next week in the Battle of the Saints, because St. Peter's know that 3rd place is a possibility for them. St. Joseph's know that 2nd place is a possibility for them as well. So it's all to play for here in the middle, the bottom and the top of this Singer Schools Rugby League Tournament 2018. You've been watching some outstanding rugby on ThePapare.com and on MyTV live on Dialogue Television as well. We're bringing you this game here from Longton Place as we await the 2 teams, the first 15 teams to run out with these top try scorers and point scorers. Shehan Leonapathirana way out in front. Had a bit of a mixed day yesterday with the ball in his hands, but can't match this man, Gamunu Chetia, who has scored 10 tries so far, and without kicking a single point between the posts, he's managed to get up to 50 points and rivaling the likes of the other kickers like Dulan Gunawardhan and Manuka Ribeiro, who are also in the top point scorers list. So waiting for the first 15 teams to run out. Wesley versus Royal College is where it's at here at Longton Place. You're live on ThePapare.com in the Singer Schools League 2018. It's Wesley College aiming to try and at least prevent Royal from getting a bonus point. St. Peter's didn't manage to pick up a bonus point yesterday against Kingswood, and that will be one target that Coach Paul Toya, Dulanjana Vijay Singh and Riza Mubarak, that coaching unit, would have given this Wesley College team. And how would you set about doing that, Abdullah? Royal are the firm favourites in this game, that's for sure. But how would you go out as the underdog and try to do something a little different?
Yes, I think Wesley will have to play a kind of a high-risk game. They will try to move the ball to the flanks as far as possible, not trying to get into too much of a confrontational game, because physically, if they try to do that, I don't think they'll be able to match up with Royal. But I think first and foremost, they've got to get their set piece right. Zahira, even last week, they struggled at line-out time at all. Fadil Adhan was brilliant at line-out. He spoiled a lot of Zahira's ball at line-out time. And maybe if an analysis could have done, maybe they would have looked at avoiding him and maybe going to number 4 or even 6 and just trying to avoid him as much as possible and just get some good solid ball for their line, for their three-quarter line, to try and pose some questions to this Royal three-quarters.
Well, you speak of Adhan in the front of that line-out, Abdullah. I know when I started watching rugby, there were guys like Ayaz Dean who were just outstanding line-out forwards. This was well before the lifting rule was invented, and after the lifting rule came into play, I know you in your team, you had some basketball players coming in. Nuanga Pereira for a specialist line-out jumper as well. It was probably the first one that Sri Lanka had seen who was just such an easily liftable player. But when you look at all those big line-out forwards that we've seen going all the way back to guys like Priyantha Ekanayaka back in the day, I know it's early days, but this boy Adhan really is something special in the line-out, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is. I think he's very strong in the line-out. That's what makes him stand out from the rest. He's his ability to take off. He's got real springy action when he takes off, and I think his ability to read also, read the line out, where the ball is going to go, when it's going to go. I think that just makes him a standout player. And in addition to that also, he's a very useful ball carrier as well. Physically he doesn't look very imposing, but he just has that ability to just always try and win the tackle. And I think when you have a second row who can just do those two functions, it just gives so much more options from a coaching point of view.
Yeah, it really is a wonderful asset to have in your side. Wesley also have some wonderful assets. Here's Jayawardena, experienced colorsman, Sritesh, Karim, Ogbeba, Tahir, Philip, Samuel, Dayan Sabah, the captain, brother of Zayan Sabah, who captained Wesley a couple of years ago. Pereira and Walpita. I've got a lot of time for Walpita as a fly half. He's got good vision, and if he can get the ball out to the gaps, things would be maybe a look up for Wesley. Paranthiran, Hassan Harshana, the twins, and Pereira and Murshid Zubair, who will captain Wesley next year if all goes well. He's in the number 15 jersey. On the bench, Samarkun, Vijay Gunawardana, Dimua, Lai, Thabit, Avinash, Jaivir, Pakirali, Vitanage, and the junior Ogbebo also on the bench. Royal very courteously running on the side of that tunnel, and this is a team that will do battle for them today. In the Bimsara, Himanta Hirushan, Sasita Siat, that first choice front row, Adahan, who we just talked about, Radesh Vijayaratna, who has played in the back row as well as the second row, Ifam Farid, Malisha Madhumevan, Risit Fernando, Nikhil De Silva, Lehan Gunaratna starts at number 10, Sabit Feroz, the captain on the left wing, Tuleb Hassan and Janitha Dilshan, Sri Lanka's premier centre pairing at the moment, Achita Radishan and Dulan Gunawardana in the last line of defence, Dilan Jaya, Raninja Jayasuriya, Samaranayaka, Vidarshana, George, Falil, Pereira, Rashmika, Mihisanka. Look for them to come on and make a difference off the bench, and Pasindu Fernando also on the bench as a 25th player for Royal. So taking no chances today, Coach Dushant Luke Abdullah, now that the Bradby is done, now that the league title looks to have been, well, not sewn up, but they look to be in front-running position. How does this Royal pack, how does this Royal side keep their motivation going?
Yes, well, I mean, they've got a league title to defend, really, isn't it? So everything is everything to play for. I think from today's game, they will just need to lift their intensity. I thought the intensity was lacking slightly against Zahira, which is understandable. Just the week before that, they had a big Bradby win. I'm sure the celebrations would have been long and hard, but they just need to try and refocus, try and get a bit more momentum, get that intensity up, because we'll not just St. Peter's next week, they'll be up against Isipatana as well. And even this Wesley team, they're not just going to lie down and let Royal run all over them. They will definitely ask a lot of questions. So just that intensity will need to be raised, and I think if they can do that, it'll just give them that confidence going into the remaining couple of games for the season.
Yes, they really need to make sure that they don't let anything slip, don't take their foot off the gas. Every game from now on could be a banana skin for them, so that's something that they need to make sure everybody is coming onto the park to try and beat Royal, because they are the best team this season so far. So that's a big amount of pressure for these boys to handle, but the mental strength is something that we've spoken about of this Royal College team, and they really have been strong mentally. They haven't been a team that has gotten flustered. They conceded an early try against St. Joseph's, managed to come back into that game from the very next kickoff, and they haven't looked like they are a team that are going to be upset by anything the opposition has to throw at them. Tactically, have they been tested yet though, Abdullah? Sanat Mart is probably one of the only coaches who knows this team very well, who might be able to tactically upset them, but it looks a very complete side that should be able to take on anything that's thrown at them.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see when that game comes around how things shape up. But the thing with the Royal game plan, it's not a very complicated game plan. It's a game plan that's built on controlling possession, creating phases, wearing the opposition down. And it's just that they're very, very good at executing that. So it's nothing flash, but it's something that's very, very effective. So it just depends how well the opposition can just counter that kind of pressure, constant pressure. I think that will be the key to bringing down this Royal outfit, really.
Chief guests being introduced to the teams, and the referee for this afternoon will be Mr. Dinka Piris, who's in the center of your shot there. Be assisted by Hassan Daveranga, who I thought had a decent game yesterday between Kingswood and St. Peter's. Kamil Haji also. Dayan Sabah, the captain for Wesley.
always a nervous moment, isn't it, Shanaka? These pre-game introductions, players just want to go and get things started, and you have these introductions, these formalities that they just want to get out of the way and start the game. Nerves are pumping, the heart rate's up, and players just want to just get going. So everything seems to be done and dusted, and we are ready for kickoff.
Well, this is the other thing about the long warm-up, isn't it, Abdullah? You can warm up all you want, but if you take 15 minutes to get back onto the pitch after that, then you wonder whether the purpose of that warm-up has been served for anything except to maybe just lose some hydration that you've been putting on, carb loading in your body for the last 24 hours or so. But some teams, and I think Kandy were one of the first teams to do this in the club competition, have chosen to do this, to just hit some tackling shields before they get back onto the pitch, because they know that their warm-up would have been lost a bit because of those pre-match introductions. But now that has been done, Wesley are ready to go, and the host team will take on the defending champions, the title favourites Royal College, and let's see whether Dayan Sabah's team can pull off the biggest upset of this 2018 season. It looks unlikely, but strange things have happened in rugby. We had the Blues today coming close to upsetting the Crusaders, but just not enough in the tank at the end of that in Super Rugby, as the Wesley team drop on one knee, say a quick prayer, and they'll need all the assistance they can get today, Abdullah, that's for sure.
Yes, well, again, execution, isn't it, under pressure? That will be the key from Wesley's point of view. As we spoke about earlier, just trying and get some good quality position for their backs to do their thing. If they can do that, then I just think that they'll be able to put some problems for all. But whether they'll be allowed to do that is an entirely different question.
You only play as well as allowed to, and that is true for both teams, as Dinka Pires checks with his assistant referees, and Walpeter bounces the ball in readiness for his kickoff. And on a wonderful afternoon here at Longden Place, we kick off Wesley versus Royal College in the Singer 2018 Schools Rugby. And here's the man who has done so much work for Royal, Himantha Hirushan, having his first touch of the ball, taking it straight into the traffic, but it's been turned over. And Wesley will now get an unexpected bit of possession. Here's Wesley looking to run that ball sideways. Zubair squeezing it. And inside the 22, almost gifted for them. Zapar slips and kicked through. Ifam Farid. He's out in front of everyone, but his footballing skills let him down just a little bit. Great chase from Ifam Farid, and now it's opened up for Royal College. Wesley have to regroup in their defence. Rajani Dilshan, he'll take a bit of stopping from here. Managed to bring him down. Sanity comes back to proceedings. Here's Adahan, who we talked about before the kickoff. Carrying the ball, as Abdullah said, he was very good at doing. Smashing tackle, that's a good defensive hit from Wesley. Ogbebar was one of the tackle assists there. Dayan Sabah going in and making another important hit. Wesley just couldn't convert their turnover into points at the other end of the field, but Royal hitting right back. Here's Adahan once again. It's Fernando. Lehan Gunaratna looking for a little bit of space for Janitha Dilshan, but they've wrapped him up well. Harshana. Trying to rip the ball off in the tackle, Wesley, but no luck there, because the technique from Royal in that contact is so good. Several phases of play already, and Royal reverting to their preferred pattern. Just hitting it up with the forwards, buying the right to go wide. But unfortunately there, Nikhil De Silva just coughing the ball up a little bit. And a crucial error, giving the ball back up when they looked like it was going to be a promising move.
Yes, some good defense by Wesley as well. I thought they kept their discipline well without conceding a penalty. Was Royal were just recycling the ball continuously and eventually just managing to induce that error from Royal. So Wesley, it would have been ideal once they got that turnover from the kickoff, Shanaka, if they had just managed to hold on to the ball a bit long and try and get those first points on the board. Those are the kind of opportunities which they can't afford to let go.
I think they were more surprised than anything else that they got the ball back there, Abdullah, because they seem to take an age to just get going. Here's Walpeter trying to loop back round, but they have read it perfectly. They were expecting that move. And now Royal have some space on the corner. Dilshan pops it up from the floor. And bundled into touch, so Wesley's defense coming across. And running Royal out of a little bit of space. So once again, you can see that the preparation has been done, Abdullah. That's the move that they used to try and score against St. Peter's. It worked beautifully, but this time Royal read it. They were ready for Walpeter's loop around, and that's the kind of off-field work that needs to go into winning titles.
That's right. Analysis plays such a big part in today's modern game, and it's also good that you have guys like Janindu Dilshan who can just read the opposition, what exactly they're trying to do. And was on that occasion, he was definitely up to hit, did not fall for the decoy runners, went up and just smashed them. I'd like to see Janindu running a bit more straight, though. He seems to be just trying to run between that 13 and 14 channel, and he's just getting wanted. He'll be much more effective if he just tries and runs a bit straight. He'll create a bit more room for his wingers.
Absolutely agree with you there. And knocked forward again by Wesley. They won the ball beautifully at the top of the line out, but didn't do the scrum half Pereira any favors there with the ball at his bootlaces. So Royal get another opportunity now, just shy of the 22-meter line for Wesley. And there's a nice blind side here that Risit Fernando's eyes will nicely light up. Radishan on the right-hand touchline off your screen will be screaming for it. He thinks that he has a little bit of room. And instead they go on the open side. Risit Fernando it is. Royal inside the 22 doing what they do best. Wesley coming straight in at the side there. The crowd caught it, everyone caught it, especially referee Dinka Piris. Tuleb Hassan now stepping inside. Tuleb Hassan almost to the line, and is still available for Nikhil De Silva. This is good service from him. Malisha Madhuvaman has no option but to cut back in field. Still playing advantage, of course, and the referee will go back. And Royal will have a first opportunity of points, but given the way things have been going, they may just take a scrum.
It's a very interesting call, but I think maybe the safe option would be to just go for points. Just try and get those first points on the scoreboard and just settle things down. So, and I think Sabit has made the correct call, deciding to go for points. Had a rest last week, so be eager to get back into the action in today's game. Skipper Sabit Feroz has had a pretty good season himself on the wing.
Yes, he moved in to the centre position for the Thomian game and absolutely blissed the Thomian defence from that number 13 position. So showing his versatility, Sabit Feroz, and his pace, and also showing a cool head, not getting carried away, and giving Dulan Gunawardena the first opportunity of putting some points on the board, just settling the nerves and coming back again. Gunawardena makes absolutely no mistake, thumps that straight through and hard, and Royal have the first points of the game. Wesley had the first turnover, couldn't convert it, but the first foray into the 22 for Royal has led to points, and that's what separates the champions from the also-rans. They convert pressure into points.
Yes, Wesley will look back at those two missed opportunities. First of all, with the kickoff, when they turned possession over, they had built a few phases and then a loose pass, resulting in Royal countering from their own 22, and then from the line out, just outside their own 22, just scrum off, guilty of knocking the ball on, and Royal maximizing on that error.
Risit Fernando takes the ball on the bounce and runs it straight into the opposition. It's carried back there for Lehan Gunaratna, who knows he can't kick it out, but that's not a great kick. Dayan Sabah has to really struggle to get to it. It was so short. And a good bit of defensive work from Farid again there. And now Walpeter will have an opportunity to put the boot to this one, and that's where the space is. Dulan Gunawardena covers it well though. Hasn't been tested defensively yet. And the knock forward is there. And to be very honest, Abdullah, I don't know why no team yet in 7 games has tested Dulan Gunawardene under the high ball?
Yes, it's an interesting question, really. I think most teams now are just so focused on trying and just keeping the ball in hand rather than kicking possession over. They probably watch a lot of these international games, and that's definitely the way things are moving. But I guess in schools rugby, there is always a place for a good kick and chase. First of all, the kick has to find space, and then the chase is also as important. So if those two elements can be brought in together, there's definitely it can be considered a very good attacking weapon.
Well, Wesley do have the opportunities to do that. Scrum half moving away, but not going anywhere near the offside line. If he moves away from the scrum, he needs to drop back behind the last foot of that number 8. And that didn't happen on that occasion. Penalty from referee Dinka Piris. Number 7, is it? Malisha Madhumewan perhaps, to not keeping his feet over the ball, and Sabah will have an easy decision to go for points here.
Yes, welcome penalty for Wesley. They'll also, I'm sure, look to just get those first points on the board. It'll just make them settle down their nerves as well. And I think Sabah has been very accurate, Zubair has been very accurate with the boot this year. He's been a big part of this Wesley lineup's attack, and he's with the boot as he's been very accurate as well. So I'm sure just outside the 25, just around 30 meters, shouldn't be too much of a problem for him.
Matured a lot as a player, Murshid Zubair, or Dore as he is called to his friends. Gotten a lot stronger than he was last year as a 16-year-old. And a lot of potential if he keeps going, stays injury-free. And that is straight and hard through the posts. It was good to see that Riza Mubarak, who is the kicking and backs coach here for Wesley, he was getting the kickers to kick here, Abdullah, and that's always a good thing. Haven't seen many place kickers coming out early and practicing the place kicks at an away ground, or ground that they're not familiar with, and Riza made sure that happened today, and you can see that paying dividends.
Yes, that's right. I think that's something which you have been very big on, isn't it, Chanaka? Place kickers coming off before the game and just getting used to the conditions more than anything else. The wind, the ground conditions, and just familiarizing themselves before the big pressure kick comes on. And I think Riza, also very meticulous with his preparation, has done well in that aspect.
Perfectly timed tackle. Just as the player came to ground. Walpeter again puts that kick in. Malisha Madhumewan this time is covering the touchline, as a good number 8 should, and Dulan Gunawardene tiptoes through the Wesley defense. Looking for the short side is Nikhil De Silva now, and here's big Sasita Siat. Himanta Hirushan. It's been such a deadly package for Royal. Not a big lad, but he's really packs a bit of power. Straight over the ball goes Wesley, but just can't manage to rip that away. Hands in the ruck, says referee Dinka Piris. Thought the player probably had rights as he went straight in there, but too late, said referee Piris. And Wesley have to retreat 10 meters.
One thing Wesley will need to be very mindful is not to concede penalty, especially in their own half, because Royal with that rolling maul and Wesley probably giving away a few kilos at when it comes to the pack will cause a bit of problems for them. So they just need to be mindful, just be a bit patient like they were in that previous phase, and just continue just to make the tackles and not just try to push the issue, which resulted in a penalty on this occasion.
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it, Abdullah? When you're the underdogs, the rank underdogs, you need to play for each possession. You need to try and steal that ball if you can. So I don't think the coaches will be too unhappy with Wesley living on the edge there. Going to concede a few penalties naturally, but going to try and steal the ball as well. Adhan at the front. And no prizes for guessing what Royal is going to set up here. Stays up beautifully, despite the attempt by Wesley to sack it. Royal still marching forward over the prone bodies of some of the Wesley players lying on the floor, desperate to get out of the way of those studs. 5 meters short. The penalty is coming, and Wesley will claim a moral victory there. Nikhil De Silva takes it quickly, and Sasita Siat scores for Royal. He did so against Trinity as well in the second leg, and the big man from 5 meters out knows his way to the try line.
It's wonderful work. It all came from that, once again, brilliantly executed driving maul. And what probably happened on that occasion, Shanaka, is the entire Wesley 8 were probably on the ground trying to defend that maul. And some good quick thinking by Nikhil De Silva. Just took that quick tap and gave it to his big man Siat, who just barged over. So that's just what Royal would have wanted. A nice try from a driving maul. Not exactly a driving maul, but it definitely played a big part in that first score. So that will, I'm sure, make Royal feel much better, and I'm sure they'll want to kick on from here.
And the great thing about that was the fact that the maul didn't work in the first occasion, but Nikhil was alive enough to make sure he recognized that all the forwards were on the floor and he needed to take it quickly. And it's not often that 5 meters out coaches will forgive you for taking quick taps like that, but this was one occasion where it could be done, it should have been done, and the 5 points resulted. Hoping for 7 points is Zulan Gunawardena here, who sparked that counter-attack with a little jinx in run early on in the day, and it's easy conversion for him. No troubles playing away from home for Zulan Gunawardena. And recovered well from that little knock-on early on in the piece. And that shows again the mental strength of the lad. You can put a mistake behind you. Here's Siat stepping off his right foot like a back there. He'll enjoy that replay.
Yes, I'm sure he will. Also, I think probably that quick tap took the Wesley team by surprise as well. I don't think they quite expected that.
Walpita restarts, and Himanta Hirushan once again does a carbon copy of what he did after the first kickoff. But this time he doesn't cough the ball up, but instead one of his teammates gives away a penalty for going straight over and not keeping your feet, says referee Dinka Piris. And now Wesley will have an opportunity on the opposite end of the pitch. But instead of the line out, which they are not entirely confident with, you can see that on the 15-meter line, when you've got just a line out opportunity, if you don't take it, that shows that you really are respecting the opposition a little bit too much.
That's right, but also points on the board, Shanaka. I think if they just can, as the game progresses, just try and hang around with Royal. Royal also will start fielding the pressure. Zubair, it's well within his reach. He's been kicking extremely well. It's quite an acute angle, but if he can get this over, it'll just keep Wesley in the hunt. But also just coming back to that call, I think teams also need to be aware and read referees a bit more. I think it's a well-known fact that referee Dinka Piris likes to call players for going off their feet. And I think players just need to be a bit aware of that and try and stay on their feet as much as possible.
Yes, I think in law, Abdullah, we have judges that we call red light judges or green light judges. And if Dinka was a judge, he definitely would be a red light judge. He would be the head of the manufacturing department of traffic lights. So you need to know what you can get away with from some refs and what you can't. And that goes astray and touched down by Royal. A little bit of confusion there. And yes, it was trapped with the foot, says Veranga to his head referee. And so it's about competing even at the breakdown. You need to know that if it's a 50-50 call, some refs will let you have it. Tinka won't, so don't go in. That's what coaches need to be telling their players at some points. That was a bad mistake from Janita Dilshan. Smacked it long and hard, but too hard. Went straight over the touchline on the full, so it'll be a scrum down on the center of the 22-meter line. And this is a great opportunity for Wesley College to move from the first phase. Don't forget, you can watch, vote and comment for the try of the week. And all those tries of the week will match up to the try of the season later on. So make sure you comment for your favorite try.
There's a great attacking opportunity for Wesley. Scrum right in the middle, an opportunity for them to just try and manufacture the backs something against this Royal defensive line. It'll be interesting to see what kind of option they will go for. They move it out wide to the right. Lovely wraparound move. They have men out wide, but Royal's defense is up to it. They drifted extremely well and just cut off whatever space Wesley might have had. And it looks like they have induced that a knock-on from that effort. So good work by Royal. I thought they didn't overcommit to a single player. They just let the Wesley team just drift across. Maybe a straightening of that line would have been a bit better to create a bit of space out wide. But when you just do those wraparound moves, it's very hard to straighten the line out per se, unless Royal just commit to those decoy runners, which on that occasion they didn't.
Well, someone's got to take the responsibility, don't they, Abdullah? Especially not the guy who's looping, but the guy who's running off of him needs to try and hit a different kind of angle. If you keep going the same way, you make it very easy for an experienced defensive side like Royal to just bundle people into touch. Sabit Feroz really monstered Murshid Zubair in the tackle there. But another opportunity now for Wesley just to keep the pressure on Royal, to try and compete at scrum time. This is where Royal are clearly superior in the front five. You can see already that they've got the march on. And Lehan Gunaratne has all the time he needs to clear this ball, but it goes only as far as Pereira. Murshid, he's not going to die wondering today. He's going to counter-attack all he can. Goes to ground despite the attentions of Nikhil De Silva trying to rip the ball away. Pereira now finding Walpita. Harshan over the top for Paranthiran. The little man Paranthiran uses his fend and needs some support now. Pereira to the captain. Nice little shift of the ball to Jayawardena. Here's Sabah again, has been losing his feet today. That's a nice pass across the face of the defense. Murshid Zubair shows the dummy and gets a good ball away. This is promising from Wesley if they can keep it going, but they've gone many yards backwards in search of depth, and Paranthiran now stepping back in field, opening it up, but Wesley need to get there in numbers to try and support. Jayawardena went on the short side. Here's Pereira now. Straight over the ball goes Malisha Madhumevan, but he's cleaned out. Walpita. Ogbebor. Here's a little bit of 2-on-1 space now. Number 22 cutting back inside for Wesley. Walpita keeping it going. Sabah. His pass is not a good one. Managing to shift it on still. And now Paranthiran has a little bit of space. Puts his ears back. Paranthiran for the score, is it? Yes. The number 11 Paranthiran goes almost under the post. And you have to say, when you forget the excitement, that was a brilliantly worked try, Abdullah. So much patience, so many phases, and eventually carving open the defense.
Absolutely. Fantastic by Wesley. I think the way as you said, Shanaka, the key word there was patience. They just build up phase after phase after phase, and the Royals defense eventually wiltering. I thought they had it covered. I thought they had numbers, but just on that outside flank, just one missed tackle, and that's all you need. So with that score, Wesley with an opportunity to tie things up, and I think this will just give them just that little bit of confidence going into the remainder of this game.
Well, Murshid Zubair will look to try and get his team on level pegging, on the scoreboard at least. This will spark Royal though. It's not often that they've been scored against, and that try and the manner in which it was constructed will hurt them. Zubair instrumental in that try as well, managed to get a few passes away. You saw some good missed passes in the build-up to that move, getting players into space, recognizing where that space was. And Zubair's kick is a good one, so it's 10 points all on the scoreboard. But it's a 70-minute game.
Shifted on still.
Watch it here, Paranthiran
Paranthiran has a little bit of space.
just manages to check, and it was Achita Rajesan who missed that tackle.
Yes.
Just checked his pace and accelerated again.
11, Paranthiran
And little Paranthiran will enjoy that one.
Definitely, and he's very deceptive, isn't it, Shanika? When you look at him, you don't think that he's a player who will cause too many problems to you, but obviously very, very quick on his feet. A bit like Milner Scudder kind of a player, isn't he? Very, very quick, got lovely feet, and just leaving his opposite number, Radishan, grasping at air really and going over. So 10 points all. As you said very correctly, Wesley are not going to lie down. They're going to throw everything at this Royal team, and Royal will just need to try and refocus a bit and get that intensity up a bit more, because so far, if they don't do that, Wesley are going to just build on as this game goes on, and Royal just don't want to be in that position.
So 23 minutes on the clock, and the first of the water breaks on this humid hot afternoon. And news from around the league, 2018 Singer Schools Rugby League. We have Trinity who are leading Isipatana by 12 points to 3 at the moment, and we also have St. Joseph's who are 5 points ahead, 5 points to 0 against Zahira College. So that's a game that may be a little bit closer than people anticipate, but Trinity leading Isipatana. Isipatana will need to do their best to try and come back at Havelock Park and try and keep their middle of the table slot unchallenged at the moment. After a big win against Kingswood, they will want to try and stay up against Trinity. But here's the kickoff now to Murshid Zubair. Zubair thinks about the kick. Probably should have put the kick in, and gets tackled inside his own 22. Valpita will stand in the pocket, and under enormous pressure from Madhumevan, will get the kick away. Unfortunately, it's dropped. In fact, that's Madhumevan who dropped the ball. But Valpita did well to get that kick away under enormous pressure. And this is one area, I think, that Trinity missed a trick, Abdullah, when they came in. I'm sure they still probably wouldn't have won the Rugby, but I don't think they gave themselves every chance tactically to get in amongst this Royal chicken coop.
Yeah, that's right. Now that's the second high kick that the Royal backed well. On that occasion, it was Malisha who was standing there, has just fluffed. So maybe it's an area that Wesley will look to exploit a bit more.
Pereira, good Wesley scrum. Again, straight through the gap goes Murshid Zubair. He's got some space with him. And here's a man who might make it all the way to the line. Does he get there? No, he doesn't. Can he get there now? Yes, he does. It was not a double movement. So the try is scored. And the try is scored by KP Pereira, the number 14. Murshid Zubair bursting through the gap, and Janidhu Dilshan and Tulaib Hassan have been parted for one of the very few times in this entire season, Abdullah.
Yes, that was a beautifully executed three-quarter move, Shanaka. We were talking about this Wesley three-quarter lines being able to just conjure up something, and on that occasion, probably if you have a look at that replay, you'll probably look at Janidhu and Tulaib looking at each other, wondering whose tackle it was, which just hasn't happened before. So some wonderful work by Wesley, and now they go into the lead. And if this doesn't spark Royal back onto life, I'm not sure what will, because Wesley have very clearly shown what they can do from this whenever they have been given some good position.
I was wondering whether Valpita was being a little ambitious from his own 60-meter line to try and work that line. Thought he might have looked for the kick option. But this boy Zubair, who's just standing here over that ball, he has an eye for a gap, Abdullah. He's a very, very intelligent player. And he saw exactly where it opened up and hit the gap before he caught the ball. And if you can see a replay of the try, you'll see how brilliantly constructed it was. Zubair adds the extra points, and Royal for the first time. That's the pass. Beautifully timed pass by Valpita as well, and you can see his angle was changing even before he caught the ball. He knew that all he had to do was draw and pass. Sabit Feroz, a desperate tackle, and just couldn't get the ball off his opposite number. Now Dayan Sabah, the captain, gives it to the man who sparked it all. And now Wesley need to make sure that they don't let that rush of blood go to their heads too much and see a red mist. Need to clear their lines and get into the opposition territory. And offside, says the referee to Sasitha Siath. It's not often you see a prop forward get up in time to charge down a kick, so that's a telltale sign for referee Dinka Peiris that Siath was offside.
Yes, I'd just like to see Wesley clearing their lines a bit more from the kickoff. As you have a look at that wonderful try once again, just running that brilliant angle, Zubair. And also what was impressive is the support player just hanging around his shoulder too. So many times we see once a break is made, there's no support coming up, but Wesley just having their communications line sorted brilliantly there. And just doing the finishing touches just as well as that move was executed.
Yes, good unselfish play there from Zubair. All he knew he needed to do was to draw and pass. Such an underrated skill. And you could see that the decoy runner really worked his magic there. Stulaib Hassan ran almost into the back of his opposite player. And the line out forming very deep. Walking forward, and that's brilliantly executed. Dulanjana Vijayasinghe has done his homework. And here's a little bit of room. Now they're trying a little bit too much in their old 22. That time, Hansaja. And Walpita again with the high up and under. It's a dangerous ball. Well taken by Hassan that time. And Royal now have plenty of opportunity to hit back before half-time. And this is a man who can do it for them, Ifham Farid, giving them valuable go forward. Here's the quick ball, Malisha Madhumewan. Realizing that he needs to spark his Royal pack back into life. This is what they're best at. This is where they go to if they're under pressure. Doubling up. Wesley's fringe defense. Can they make it count now? Diane Sabah making two important tackles. Back to back. The Wesley captain leading from the front. The strength of this Royal pack still coming to the fore. Madhumewan putting that ball back. Still holding on to it, Royal, building patiently, phase after phase. Ifham Farid gets driven back that time by good fringe defense, but it doesn't matter because the next man takes it forward. Pick and go again. Wesley trying to hold them up, but just not enough upper body strength. 5 meters short of the line now. You can't see where they are from camera angle, but they are 5 meters short. Edging towards the line with the penalty coming. You can see referee Dinka Peiris' hand. And now Leon Gunaratne. Hassan. Tuleib Hassan bangs off one. And now they've got numbers. Sabit Feroz screaming for it. Dulan Gunaratne, can he go on his own? Almost to the line. It's held up, says the referee, and they'll come back for the penalty that they had coming all along.
This is just a response you would expect from this Royal team. They've been under the cosh a few times, but they've always struck back immediately. Jani taking the quick tap.
Almost in at the corner. Referee right on the spot there. Madhumewan joins. And that looked like it was offside from the Wesley scrum half. And that's a try. Excellently done by Himanta Hirushan. He's wearing the number 8 jersey on his back. And he is a man that has come to Royal's rescue so many times. And just burrowing under that Wesley defense that tried to hold players up, but the trick to his play, Abdullah, is just how low he gets and the angle that he attacks at, and there was no stopping him there.
Yes, that's right. It's just a body position in Shanagar. Just hit the nail on the head there, the body position. And also he's got such strong lower body strength. It's once he gets just about 2 or 3 meters away from the try line, he's very, very hard to stop. A great response from Royal. You'd expect that from them. And now they just need to kick on from here, because that defensive effort from Wesley will have definitely taken something out of them. And if Royal can just continue to pile on this pressure, keep the ball tight, keep possession, I think they can just take the game away from Wesley.
Has it come at the right time? That's the question that needs to be asked. As Dulan Gunawardena misses. Costly miss. Only time will tell, but just 2 points in the ball game at the moment. 17 points to 15 with half-time looming. Himanta Hirushan just ghosting off the back of that ruck, and absolutely no stopping him from that distance out. Walpeter has controlled the game well from the base, has taken options well. And here's the try scorer getting the ball right back into his hands, managing to run it out of his 22, and another penalty looming immediately. And Walpeter will have to go back to field this one, and the referee will come back for the penalty.
Yes, another area I think Wesley will look well to address is the kickoffs. First of all, while receiving the kickoff.
Referee ThePapare is showing that the arriving Wesley player had his hands on the floor. There's no real competition for possession there. I'm wondering about the material impact on the game at that particular moment, Abdullah. You can always wonder while you follow us and interact and engage on social media with ThePapare.com on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Everything you watch can be engaged with, and we invite you to do exactly that on ThePapare.com.
Yes, just quickly coming back to the kickoffs from Wesley. I think when they're kicking off themselves, I think they've got to identify they're kicking the ball to probably Royal's best ball carrier in Hirushan, and he very rarely makes mistakes. And when they're receiving the kickoff, Royal is kicking deep, and they just seem to be putting themselves under pressure rather than clearing their lines. So it's something which they look to address.
Another good line out from Adahan. Jumping in the number 4 channel this time. You can see him at the focal point of that line out. And Wesley have done well to try and push this one back. Here's Hirushan running sideways there. And was it a high tackle that the referee has seen? The argument will be, sir, where else can we tackle him? He's such a little guy. It's going to be a booking for sure. Will it be a card as well? Number 22 for Wesley. He's really not on the team sheet, so can't tell you who that is.
Yes, I think that was the correct call. I don't think it warranted a yellow card as such. But I think Royal, for the first time, just managing to get a bit of leeway when it came to that driving maul. And I'm sure they will continue to pound this Wesley pack from here on as well. And Jilshan just getting the penalty from on the 22. So a great opportunity for Royal to just try and just wear this Wesley pack down a bit more. From Wesley's point of view, it probably could be the final play of this first half. And if they can just go into half-time with a lead, I'm sure it'll give them a lot of confidence going into the second half.
Yes, even if it's a 2-point lead that against the defending champions, that'll be a big one. And it's a shame, isn't it, Abdullah, because they did so much good work to repel that Royal driving maul and then conceded a silly penalty with a high hit. He goes off the back again. Here's Farid fighting his way towards the line, but that time again going straight off the feet, says the referee. And Wesley will say poetic justice has been served.
Yes, well, one thing you can say about referee Paris is that he's consistent.
Yes, so was Courtney Walsh in his batting. And Murshid Zubair, knowing that it's half-time, thumps that into touch, and Wesley will take an unexpected 2-point lead into half-time. But let's not forget that Royal over the course of this season has definitely been a second half team. They've come back and scored bucketfuls of points in the second half, so this won't worry the coaching staff too much. It might upset the Royal faithful a little bit to see their team behind on the scoreboard. That's not something that they're used to, but it shouldn't be something that unduly worries this coaching huddle at this point in the game. But Wesley so far have done well, and more of the same will be probably what Coach Paul Toya and the rest of his chargers tell these Double Blues at halftime. But it's all to play for when we come back. Is it going to be an unforeseen upset here at Longdon Place? Still unlikely, given that there's so much of this game left to play. But do join us for the second half of the Singer Schools League 2018. Wesley playing Royal.
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සනසුමදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
පවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිඟ අත විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය.
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with current accounts from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank, keep growing.
Some see a myriad of possibilities ready to break out in glory. The choice of every Sri Lankan, no limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිමි ශක්තිමත්. ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසායි. ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි zero කරන නැවල් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ්. ඒ වගේම ඉස්සොරි වලින් නිදහස්. ක්ලියර් මෙන් ඉස්සොරි zero කරයි. ලොව අංක 1 මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ.
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
සතුට බෙදන නම
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සනසුමදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
පවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිඟ අත විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය.
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with home loans, education loans and vehicle loans from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank, keep growing.
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
Energetic and daring, some see the world in vibrant shades. The choice of every Sri Lankan, no limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිමි ශක්තිමත් ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසයි ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි zero කරන නැවුම් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ඒ වගේම ඉස්සොරි වලින් නිදහස් ක්ලියර් මෙන් ඉස්සොරි zero කරයි ලෝවාංක එකේ මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ
Technique, tactics, attack, defense, pattern. Back to the board, the rugby analysis.
We don't make this stuff up here. You're watching the best researched in-depth analysis on Schools Rugby 2018. You're on ThePapare.com. Welcome to the breakdown.
papare.com කරපු සංකල්පය ලංකාවේ ක්‍රීඩක ක්‍රීඩිකාවන්ට ඉතාම ධෛර්යයක්. ඔවුන්ගේ අදහස් ක්‍රීඩා තොරතුරු ඊට අමතරව ශ්‍රී ලංකිකෙක් වශයෙන් මට ආඩම්බර විය හැකි මේ අලුත් සංකල්ප ක්‍රීඩා ලෝකයට ගෙනීම ගැන මම ඇත්තටම papare.com එකට ස්තුතිවන්තයි.
මුලින්ම තියෙන්න ඕනේ සහයෝගය එළියේ ඉන්න උන්ට ඇතුළට එන්න දෙන්න ඕනි. හරි ඒ කියන්නේ දක්ෂතාවයක් නැත්නම් එයා එළියට දාලා තව ටිකක් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරලා ඇතුළට ගන්න ඕනි.
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ස්පෝර්ට්ස් පැත්ත දන්න මිනිස්සු දන්නවා ඉතින් කොහොමද ඒගොල්ලෝ කැපවීම කරන්න කියලා විහිළුවා.
දක්ෂ ක්‍රීඩකයෝ හිටියා. එනකොට ආගත්තේ කුලල්කා ගත්තේ නැහැ. ඒ කාලේ හොඳට තිබුණා මේ ක්‍රිකට් ගැන අපටත් අවබෝධයක්.
තරගවාර එකක් දෙකක් පරදිනකොට හුඟක් මානසිකත්වයෙන් පල්ලයට වැටෙනවා. ඒ වෙනකොට ප්‍රවීණ ක්‍රීඩකයෝ හිටියොත් කාර්ය අපිට පුළුවන් අපේ ටීම් එකේ මානසිකත්වයෙන් මේ නංවන්න.
ක්‍රීඩකයොත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරලා නායකත්වයට සුදුසුතා කවුද කියන එක තෝරාගත යුතු කියන එක තමයි මගේ හැඟීම.
ක්‍රීඩකයෙක්ගේ එක මැච් එකක් ලොස් වුණා කියලා ඉතින් එයා ලොස්මයි කියන්නත් බෑ. හුඟක්ම යන්නේ ඒක දේශපාලනයත්. ඒ කියන්නේ දේශපාලනයේ ක්‍රිකට් වලට න වැඩි.
හොඳම දේ තමයි දේශපාලඥයෝ සහ පරිපාලකයෝ උන්ගේ කාර්යය කරලා ක්‍රීඩකයෝ ක්‍රීඩකයන් කාර්යය කරනවා නම් මේක මීට වඩා වෙනස් වෙනවා. ලංකාවේ ක්‍රිකට් ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා හිතනවා.
Very good afternoon. Welcome back to what promises to be an outstanding 35 minutes of Singer Schools Rugby in this league 2018. Wesley, the hosts, have managed to do the unthinkable and are leading Royal at half-time. If I'm not mistaken, Abdullah, that's the first time this has happened to this Royal team, that they've been behind at half-time. And Dulan Gunawardhan with the first points of the game and the half, which was replied to by Murshid Zubair. And this was a quick thinking by Nikhil De Silva and Sasita Thiat with a beautiful little step off the right foot, going in untouched for the first try, just as he did in the second leg of the Bradby. And Gunawardhan with a lovely conversion as well in the first half. And this was a try of the half. Murshid Zubair hitting a beautiful angle, and the centres just getting in each other's way there. And the try scored by Pereira in the face of a superb cover tackle by Sabit Feroz. That put the teams on level pegging, and then a brilliantly constructed try later on from Wesley took them into the lead, and Royal have hit back to try and get them into a 2-point ball game. That's the try scorer. Pereira fumbles the kick but manages to find his way into some relative safety, and Walpita from way behind his try line will be given the task of putting this ball into touch. Can get only as far as Walpita, only as far as Madhumevan, but a penalty has been coming. And number 2, that would be Ifam Farid, that has not escaped the attentions of referee Dinka Paris.
Yes, again, Wesley slightly fumbling at kick-off time. It's not the first time that has happened. I thought that they will just look at trying clearing their lines as soon as possible, but again taking the ball into contact. But fortunately for them, Royal conceding a penalty.
Zubair called on to do the touch kicking as well. Walpita has a good boot on him. Might be good for Wesley just to take some responsibility off Murshid Zubair, as Walpita's got plenty of distance. And one other thing that Wesley have shown today is that their homework has been done. They've managed to win a few lineouts, which is not something that a lot of teams have done against Fadil Adahan especially. They've gone short, and Ogbebo will probably be the target man. And that's well done there by Wesley. It didn't go according to plan, but they still won the ball, which is the important thing, with Dayan Sabar at the back. And despite all that good work, Walpita puts the ball on the floor, and the young fly half will realize that he's got to put that behind him and just carry on.
Yes, it happens, but not the kind of place you want it to happen. A Royal great attacking opportunity just on the 22. Good to see a number 8 break, and Royal just grinding their way, just wearing this Wesley forward pack even further.
Royal's line speed excellent there, really forcing that error from the line out. They made that 20 meters up very quickly to force Walpita into a mistake. Rishit Fernando goes on the open side. Nikhil De Silva, here's Adahan. Thinks about the offload but goes into the contact instead. Hifam Farid. Royal inside their 22. They prefer this way. And unfortunately for them, they've turned the ball over.
Yes, I think Sia took the wrong option. He would have been better off going on the left side as with the momentum. Decided to go, so he had to go around the legs of the player who was on the ground, and that just resulted in him knocking the ball over. So another reprieve for Wesley. Sure, they'll do well to try and clear their lines from this situation.
I'm wondering about that Rishit Fernando's favoured left-hand break, Abdullah. It's not the side that number 8s normally go to. But there's obviously a reason why he's doing it. But I think given the power that he's got at his disposal, probably just attacking the fly half is something that he should consider. Zubair runs himself into a bit of a dead end there. Royals drift this time, anticipating. And again, Wesley playing, as you said before kickoff, high-risk rugby. It's paid off for them so far, with half an hour left in the game. Zubair looking for Dulan Gunawardena, who covers this one well. Thinks about the dummy and goes into touch, and also the ball goes forward in the tackle. So another opportunity for Wesley.
Yes, a good gain as we have a look at that knock on by Wesley. Fortunately for them, it's not proved costly. It's not the kind of errors you want to make against this Royal team. As we have a look at that pick up again, he had to go around not just the leg of the ball of the player who was fallen, but even the player who was bound on the ruck as well. So slightly took his focus away from the ball, and that resulted in that spill.
Wesley again with the deep kick. Dulan Gunawardena just staying inside the field of play. Pereira had to make that tackle, and he did. Now the counter ruck needs to be good for Wesley, but Royal's technique over the ball just too good. Murshid Zubair now stepping off one, evading a couple of tackles. Here it is for Walpita. Sabah. Great work over the ball there by Royal. Excellent work. And the kick from Tuleb Hassan is not a good one. Royal managing to keep that ball in the field of play. And Janid Dilshan thumps this one backwards with Tuleb Hassan chasing hard. Nikhil De Silva will aim to be the first man there. And Tuleb Hassan claims a try, but not with a great deal of conviction. I think the ball beats everyone into touch.
So I think the referee will want to just find out what exactly happened there, but I think final verdict seems to have been a knock-on. But again, Tuleb would have done well to just try and spread that ball, or even got that kick a bit more straighter. Fortunately for him, skipper Sabit Feroz managing to tap that ball into Janinder, who put the kick ahead.
Nikhil just getting his boot to the ball there. And surely, yes, Tuleb Hassan will claim he was pushed. But if the ball did go to touch in goal, surely the advantage is for Wesley to get a 22-meter dropout. Risith Fernando telling Walpeter who's going to be pressuring him. Look for Hirushan on the left-hand side of the scrum, just to try and turn this a little, just to put some pressure on. In fact, they go the other way, and Wesley are living dangerously here, still trying to run this ball out of their 22. Now they go to Zubair, and Dulan Gunawardena feels this one cleanly this time, and now has an opportunity to counter-attack. Dulan Gunawardena still going into the 22. Nikhil De Silva. Farid dragged to the floor there. Wesley's defense has been pretty physical. They've not wilted in the face of this Royal onslaught, although there is a good 25 minutes to go. And it's usually in the last quarter of the game that we see the conditioning come into play, but Wesley clearly infringing there. That was the number 7, Samuel, who was handling the ball while he was on the floor. And this is an opportunity for Royal to get a lead.
Yes, that's more like what Royal are comfortable with, just attacking the fringes, just drawing on the penalty. And they've got an opportunity now to go into the lead. But Wesley, to their credit, I think they have really put on a good show thus far. They've really asked questions of this Royal attack, defensively at least. Also, I think they've been very wise when it comes to clearing their lines. They're just putting the ball high without kicking it into touch and just forcing Royal to counter-attack. It's making the Royal forwards run behind. And I think if they can continue to do that, they just need to try and get into Royal's half to pose a bit more problems, because they're playing far too much rugby in their own 22 for their own liking.
Yes, I think a long, deep kick well behind the entire Royal side would be something that they could think about, as Dulan Gunawardena gives his team the lead for the first time since half-time, or just before half-time actually. And it's 18 points to 17. It's a 1-point game here at Longton Place in the Singer Schools League. And will that be the boost that Royal need? The Royal crowd now getting behind their team. The Tuskers had gone a little quiet while Wesley had gone into the lead. And also in response, the Zamzam Zaki of the Double Blues crowd, aiming to cheer their team on to what would be a famous victory if they manage to achieve it. Nikhil De Silva to Lehan Gunaratne. The ball is knocked forward at the first grab. If you can see a replay, you wonder if the man, that's the number 1, Jayawardene, actually laid his hands on it. He did catch it the second time. Doesn't matter though, because Royal have the scrum. And Tuleb Hassan protecting Janitha Dilshan, who will probably take the clearance kick. And it's a good one as well from Janitha, who has been a rock for Royal, really. He's the man they go to. Here's a charge down. And this is, yes, he did come off his hands.
I'm sure Wesley would have wished it was one of their back rows there rather than the front row, Shanaka, because props generally are not the most reliable when it comes to controlling the ball, especially when it's in the air.
Tell that to the Tongan Thor, who played for the Queensland Reds yesterday, Abdallah. Brilliant prop forward, but that's way overthrown by Royal and by Wesley rather, and Nikhil De Silva does really well to react to that. And here's Janitha Dilshan. The pass looked forward and it was certainly knocked on. Referee says play on, and Wesley may just profit from that. Still going, and now the whistle comes, and the call would definitely have come from the assistant referee that the ball was knocked on there. But it seemed for all money that Janithu's pass and Nikhil's drop, they got away with. Let's see whether there's something that referee Dean Kapiri saw that we didn't.
Yes, just showing flashes of what he can do, Janithu. He's been relatively quiet in this game. Actually, I think the Wesley player got in between both of them, Shanaka, so referee decided to let it go. But I think Janithu is always much more effective when he runs straighter lines rather than trying to outflank his opposite number. I don't think he has the speed necessary to do that. I think he's got to use his physical attributes a bit more, where he runs a straighter line, just try and bundle players over, or just draw 2 players and just try and create an offload like he attempted to do on that occasion.
Absolutely, Abdullah. I think that knee injury that he was carrying at the early part of the season probably still hasn't fully healed, and he may have lost a little bit of pace from last year. And the thing about losing pace is sometimes players don't realize it, even though it's obvious to us, and they try to do the same things they did when they had 100% fitness, and then it's just a question of the coaches saying, okay mate, why don't you try this, without bringing their confidence down. And a guy that he can really look to is someone like Conrad Smith, who played in that position, didn't have the physical attributes, didn't have the pace, didn't have the size, but still had probably the winningest record of any of those All Black World Cup winners. Risith Fernando goes the right way this time. And it's knocked forward by Wesley on the ground.
So also just coming back to the number 8, Risith Fernando, I think he's got to start running a bit more straighter. He's going far too lateral, and he's kind of isolating. He's forcing Tuleb Hassan to come out of his number 12 channel and trying to secure the ball, but he's not getting any forward momentum. His first inclination is always to go across. And as you can see, he's gone a few meters behind the gain line. Fortunately, on that occasion, Wesley, in the process of trying to collect the ball, knocked it on. But he's just got to start running a bit straighter.
Nikhil De Silva with a nice wide pass to Tuleb Hassan at first receiver this time. And that's a nice box kick from Nikhil. It's the first time we've seen him do this time. It will be returned with interest by Zubair, who spots the gap. And the ball bounces into touch, and Siat is the first man there. So that was a good spot by Murshid Zubair.
Yes, he's definitely been the star performer for Wesley this season from the back, hasn't he, Shanaka? He's joined the line, made some wonderful runs, like we saw, to create that second try for Wesley. His kicking game is very, very good. And I think Wesley owe a lot of their success over the last couple of seasons, really, to his performance.
And schools, clubs, national, the comprehensive scrutiny of Sri Lanka cricket's everything from our segment Around the Wickets. Don't forget to tune into that. Lovely ball off the top for Adahan. Nikhil straight into the breadbasket, and Janitha Dilshan puts that one high and hard for everyone to chase. Paranthiran, the smallest man in the field, does brilliantly to take that. And a counter ruck is brilliant from Royal once again. Wesley not looking like they wanted to tackle there. Tuleb Hassan getting involved in the action close to the fringe. Farid looks to pick up and go, but again running straight into his opposite number. Malisha Madhumewan asking referee Piris exactly what the problem was and getting the explanation. The thing about Zubair is his pace, Abdullah, because if they can just get a few more yards of pace on him, if we can lose a little bit of weight and turn that into power, he'll really be a good prospect even for Sri Lanka, even at fly half.
Yes, got a very good head on his shoulders as well, Shanak, a wonderful temperament. And he's just got that guile about him, you know, he's just got that ability to run round players when necessary. And as we have a look at that once again,
I think he picked the ball up from in front, and the free kick has been awarded, so no damage done for Royal there. Here's Rishit Fernando. Again, someone who seems to have lost a bit of that go forward that he had early on in the season. You were talking about his number 8 break as well. There was a lot more power in that break earlier on, unless he's carrying an injury as well, or maybe just the fatigue of a long season setting in. Nice flat pass inside. Seatbelt tackle there, but not dangerous. Nikhil with a lovely burst from the back. It was Lehan Gunaratne who took that ball to the line. And now Royal have a head of steam. Here's Farid stepping through. Adahan now. Wesley trying to snaffle this ball, but they're not attacking it accurately. Sabah thought he had rights to the ball, but he didn't, and his fingernail brushed the ground, so that's a penalty.
Showing a lot of respect to Wesley, and rightfully so, deciding to go for the points, but just wonder whether it would be an option worth trying just to go into the corner, because Wesley have been taking quite a few hits now. They managed to just put it 5 meters out. I'm sure all would have backed themselves to try and go over, but nonetheless going for the points, can't argue with that too much.
But it is a very kickable goal, Abdullah, and 3 points almost certain. And I think if this was 10 minutes later on in the game, I think Royal would probably have gone for the corner despite the scoreline. But they have been jolted a bit by Wesley's resilience, their ability to push this driving maul back. So, as I said earlier at the end of the half, even though Royal scored, it was a moral victory for Wesley. And oh, that's a crucial miss for Dulan. Zubair thinks about the long kick, and you can see him just winding Royal up there a little bit. Royal staying well outside the 22. Farid not reading that kick, thinking that there was someone behind him. The news
much better by Wesley, really. They might manage to identify the space out back, and that just caused confusion rather than going traditionally, taking the short kick off, and they're all just being caught off guard.
1 point here at Longdon Place, 3 points at Havelock Park, where Trinity lead by 12 points to 9. So systematically chipping away at that lead is Isipatana. You can see Coach Dushant Leuke. Don't see this very often from him, but he's giving the message himself this time, saying, guys, you need to get into the opposition territory and maybe take it to them. And here the Wesley coach is doing exactly the same thing. Paul Toya on your right, Dulanjana Vijay Singh on the left. Riza Mubarak also on the bottom of your screen there on the right hand side. He's been coaching the backs and he'll be happy with what he's seen so far. It's just in that front five where Royal are just head and shoulders above everyone else in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And just digressing a bit, Chanaka, Dulanjan De Silva, I think next year moving to the London Place Club. So a big signing for them. An outstanding player for Navy last season. Big signing for CRNFC. But also you can see the work he's done with this Wesley team as well. I'm sure his influence, his work rate has definitely rubbed off on some of these players.
Certainly has. Was a formidable Wesley cricketer as well. I'm not sure whether he was the captain of the first 11, but certainly was a very good cricketer for the Double Blues as well. So he's someone who has a legacy there and will want to preserve that. And that's a great shove back from Wesley. Royal going backwards. We haven't seen this season so far. They'll have to use it. Referees surely said once. And now Tuleb Hassan. Good chop tackle on him. Wesley's midfield defence have not been overawed by Hassan and Janidou Dilshan this time. And Nikhil's box kick is a brilliant one, but Zubair reads it well and manages to evade the first couple of tackles. Here's Walpiter. Had a few men outside him, but he may have chosen a brilliant option, but the ball just bouncing unkindly for Pereira. Scored one try already, and if that ball bounced a little to the left, if it was a leg break instead of an off break, Pereira might have just been in under the posts. Walpiter. It's a slow movement of the ball from Wesley. They'll need it to speed up a little. Here's Paranthiran, goes on the outside. Can he get outside Farid? He can. The tackle is late. And just dotted down there by Royal, but there will be an intervention from the touch judge who did raise his hand, Veranja.
Again, Paranthiran, what wonderful feet. Left his opposite number for gasping, really, and just a wonderful turn of speed.
Well, he's only a little man. He's hurt his back as well in that challenge as he hit that ground pretty hard in that late tackle. Can go back and have a look at it. Just before Paranthiran starts his run, here he is. Bang! There he goes. Saw the mismatch against a big forward. Farid comes across and he is committed, so a yellow card would probably be a little harsh, but he gets up and goes, Paranthiran. So it's Shane Williams kind of little burst. So it's a long chat here. Watch the movement to Paranthiran. Sizes up his options. And the penalty is all the way on the 5-meter line because that's where the ball bounced. So Wesley have an opportunity to regain the lead. And they've opted for the scrum.
Yes, so just wondering what would have been going through Siat's mind, Shanaka, when he saw the opposite man in front of him. They've just been thinking maybe here's a chance for me to really put one good hard tackle in, but unfortunately for him, totally underestimated Paranthan's wonderful footwork.
Well, it won't be the last time that Paranthiran does that to someone this season. And you can hear the Wesley crowd really putting the Volume up, button up. Paranthiran comes in off the blind side. But Royal's shove was brilliant. And Sabah goes backwards. Sabah in space. Probably didn't realize how much space he'd worked himself into with that spin move. And Wesley under the posts now. Need to be careful not to cough this ball up. Royals defense has probably conceded just a one try in the second half all season. Walpita cutting back inside was Hashan in the face of a brilliant tackle. Here's Pereira, the scrum half, trying to go under his man. And the tackle coming. And that's really a lucky break for Royal. Thought the tackler just did not release the scrum half there, if you can go back and have a look at it. But a lucky break for Royal.
I think the call against Shanaka was off his feet or something to that extent. I don't think it was about releasing the ball as such, but
I think he said the player rolled one too many times. But the sequence of events really, Abdullah, is when the tackler and the tackle player go to ground, the tackler must release, and then the tackle player must release the ball. So let's watch it here. There's a tackler. That's the man going into contact. There's a tackle that's made, goes to ground, and then the tackler has to release. He's got his arms all over him, and then he lets the ball come out. And I really don't see what the problem was there, but we weren't as close to the action.
Nonetheless, Royal will take it, and there's a great opportunity for them to clear their lines.
Certainly will, as Induvara Bimsara comes onto the park. Farid gets the call, and they go to Fadil Adahan. And again, they're pulling him towards the touchline. Royal changed direction brilliantly in mid-maul. Really good awareness there. You can see how well drilled this maul has been. Nikhil De Silva leaping into the air to urge his bullocks forward. And the penalty is coming, and Nikhil will play for it. And we saw the drinks break, Abdullah. The call from Coach Luke would have been go to the corner, go to the maul, and that's exactly what they're doing now. And it's 10 minutes after we spoke about it last.
Yes, and this is what we were talking about Shanaka at the start, how that effort in the first 3 quarters of the game will have an impact on Wesley going into the final quarter. And as we saw, that was the first time Royal gained any momentum from the driving maul. And again, just having the opportunity to gain some yardage.
Time is off at the moment, and maybe another drinks break perhaps. But it really is, they're asking the crowd to go back over this fence. And you can see the Wesley organizers saying, well, we'll go back if you go back. And it's a bit of tit-for-tat scenario here. Match commissioner saying we'll get everyone back if that's what needs to be done to continue this game. So if you're wondering why Royal have been so much better than a lot of the other teams they've come up against, Abdullah, it's not just about what they do in the 70 minutes. It's about the conditioning that they've done in the off-season. It's about how much stronger these players are come the last 10 minutes than the opposition is. And that's why games have opened up for them in the last quarter.
Absolutely, and also it's that conditioning that sees them having the ability to play the 70 minutes consistently. Because they, as you mentioned, they do wear the opposition down, but at the same time they themselves are able to last that 70 minutes, and that's just what slightly differentiates them from the rest of the teams that they've come up against this season so far.
And that's something a lot of old boys, a lot of spectators, a lot of the crowds don't really see. They ask, okay, how are these teams better? What are they doing? But they haven't seen what they've been doing 8 months before, 9 months before, and how much work really goes into an off-season weights program, into an off-season nutrition program, into the off-season conditioning where these guys are just running and running and running and running. And how you actually taper that off in season and keep everyone fit and keep your bench players fit as well. That's stuff that eludes the finer points, that eludes some armchair critics sometimes.
So I think the organizers really need to get moving, because this is just holding the game back.
You can see the Wesley organizers pleading almost with the match commissioner there, saying, what do you expect me to do, mate, when these guys are sitting ahead? How can I tell them to go back? That's probably what the conversation is right now. But it's really unnecessary, Abdullah, because we saw this yesterday as well in the Kingswood match against St. Peter's. A bottle was thrown from a small section of the crowd, and the game was disrupted for about 5 minutes there as well until that came under control. So this is really a stoppage that we don't need. It's not doing your teams any favors. And it's something that I think organizers really need to address, and match commissioners need to ensure is sorted out before the game gets kicked off. This is the junior teams, this is the support staff, the school boys who really need to make sure that they respect the playing conditions.
And it's been a wonderful game as well, Shanak, isn't it? I mean, we all came here expecting Royal not to have a runaway win, but probably to pull it off comfortably. But Wesley have turned up. They went into half-time with a lead. They're just 1 point down, 10 minutes to go, everything to play for, and you just don't want this kind of thing to happen. It just breaks the momentum of what has been a spectacle.
It really does, and this is a real disservice to both teams, especially from the Wesley fans. If they are doing this to their team, they need to know that there's a momentum that this team has gathered up, and you're taking all that down. You're allowing Royal to regroup. At the same time, maybe they're just happy for a bit of a break where they can actually regroup and come back. Who knows how this will affect the rest of the game, but either way, it's unnecessary. And the referees, if they feel there's any threat to the safety of the players or to their own safety, mind you, they really need to take matters into control, and it's a match commissioner's problem.
Yes, so the point of contention here is towards the CR gym side, where the gym is located. I think there are a few spectators who are just sitting on the fence, and some are just standing in front of the fence. And I think probably the linesmen also have been feeling a bit intimidated. So they are just brought it to the referee's attention, and as you can see, Coach Paul Toya as well as some of the Wesley organizers virtually imploring their supporters to get behind the fence. Let's just hope that they comply so that we can get on with what has been a wonderful game of rugby.
Yes, hopefully they will. And having been a linesman for a while, I can tell you it's not happy times there when the crowd is in their normal usual seats. When they come even further forward, it's certainly not fun times if you're an assistant referee in an away game. And the Wesley prefects being called up to try and manage this situation. They look like they've been asked to go into the front lines in Syria or something.
Yes, probably a lot of those guys are their mates from school as well, so can't seeing them laying down the law to some of their batchmates, or maybe even a few players, a few boys who are their seniors. But nonetheless, let's just hope that this issue is cleared up soon and we can get on with the game.
Yes, it is a problem because the grounds are not really built to hold crowds as big as this. Unless you put in seats and insist that everyone has seating opportunities in front of that CR gym there and charge people extra for ticket money, which also will cause an uproar. It really is a losing battle for everyone. And seems very the match seems quite well, it all seems quite disagreeable there. Dinka Piris has put his whistle down and looks like he's digging his heels in and refusing to continue the match, which is understandable from a safety point of view.
Yes, well, finally we seem to have some policemen visible in the grounds, so hopefully that will help smooth things over.
Well, Wesley have to realize if the match is called off now, Abdullah, it's after half-time. Royal will win because they're in the driving seat at the moment on the scoreboard. So there's 10 minutes more to play. And the best thing that Wesley can hope for from their supporters is that they're allowed to play that 10 minutes and try and beat Royal, because if the match finishes now, it definitely will be a Royal win. And news from Havelock Park is that it's 12 points all between Trinity and Isipathana. We always knew that game was going to be a tough one, a close one. But we expected a few tries, and Isipathana will be a little upset that they haven't been able to breach that Trinity defense. But there's a lot of talking and not a lot of rugby at the moment. We wonder what would really do a lot to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. Capturing the essence of schools rugby here on ThePapare.com. Don't forget that all our photos and videos are available, and the photos are available for very reasonable pricing. Our photographers work very hard, get some great images, and they're there for you if you want them. And now the imploring has started with an Auckland Blues supporter asking referee Dinka Piris please to carry on with the game. There's a lot of finger pointing and stomach scratching going on. Yes, it needs to be what are we hoping to achieve here, Abdullah, and what we need to achieve is all the spectators off the ground so the match can continue. I mean, it's a very simple request from the referees. It's a reasonable request from the referees, and I don't see why we need to talk about this so much. Either get the players and the supporters behind the lines and carry on with the game. Not sure what all this finger pointing and traffic directing is. Because from where we are seated, we can see that a lot of the offending crowd that were asked to be sent back have actually complied. But there still seems to be a reason for debate.
Yes, I'm just wondering whether the officials are just concerned that some of those spectators are standing on the fence rather than being behind them. That's the only thing I can think. Otherwise, I don't see any reason why this game can't move forward.
Well, those players, they're on the sump. They're behind the fence, and they're standing on that water tank. I've always struggled to figure out what that was. A lot of the CR players and visiting teams who use this ground for practice use that as a line-out warm-up. Good vantage point, but they should get down if they're asked to. And all those warm-ups that they did before the game, Abdullah, is just going out the window here. Teams losing momentum, their bodies cooling down, and by the time they get back up to match fitness, match pace, couple of minutes more to go, and then suddenly the match is over. So this is all entirely unnecessary. Don't know what the issue is.
It's also these kind of breaks that you end up getting your hamstring pulled, quad muscle strains, all those kind of injuries, which really neither team will want, because there's still quite a bit of rugby to be played for the rest of the season. And as you can see, the Royal team just trying their best to stay warm.
Yes, and that's sensible from Royal. And this is where it pays to have good strength and conditioning coaches and your staff who know exactly what the impact of these breaks are, and making sure that exactly what you spoke about, Abla, the hamstrings are being kept nice and warm and nicely stretched out, that they're not cramping up, they're not the blood is not going to flow away from those muscles, and the lactic acid is not going to build up. Just making sure all those little things are done And if you don't do that, that's when you lose a player to injury. That's when he's out for the season. That's when your entire season falls apart. So those little things, it's called the pebble in the shoe theory, isn't it, Abdullah? Where if you've got a pebble in your shoe, they say take it out. Don't keep walking with it, because then you walk funny and your muscles tighten up and it pulls on your knees and your knee gets injured and your ankle gets injured and your hip gets injured. And it's just a very simple game if you think about it. We overcomplicate things too much.
Yes, and it will be very unfortunate if players from either one of these teams have to be inflicted with an injury just due to this very unfortunate break of play. Because with just 1 point between both teams, Shanaka, 10 minutes remaining, I mean, this is the time both teams will be throwing everything at each other. And it's very, very unfortunate that's happened.
Yes, I'm curious to know what all this talking is about, Abdullah. Surely the crowd has retreated behind the fences. You're not going to get it much safer than this, and this has probably been the conditions of every other game that has been played at SIA. Not sure what this discussion is about. The referee should have said, look, get these guys behind the lines. Once you do that, I'm ready to start the game. I'm not sure why everyone needs to discuss too much.
Yes, as you can see, the Royal Junior players also been told to get behind the signboards of the ground. See a parent or two trying to get into a bit of a discussion with the referee, but got to tell the policemen are just trying to implement what has been instructed to them.
Well, this is just tit-for-tat stuff, isn't it, Abdullah? It's unnecessary. The Royal Juniors weren't really causing any kind of disruption. They're well behind the playing enclosure, and it's behind the dead ball line. They're not going to assault a referee. They're not going to get in the way of any of the players. So it's Wesley saying, if our crowd go back, we want them back as well. And news from Havelock Park, of course, is that Isipatana and Trinity have drawn 12 points all. We always knew that one was going to be close, but absolutely nothing between the two teams on the scoreboard. And finally, after much debate, much discussion, and much musical chairs being played, we are ready to play rugby here in what has been probably one of the best games of the season so far, for 60 minutes at least, in the Singer Schools League.
Just wonder what that conversation between the referee and the two captains was, Shanaka. It'll be interesting to find out more about that, but fortunately we have got the game underway once again, and Dilshan thumping that ball just on the 22 of Wesley's, and a great opportunity for Royal to try and win this line-out ball and try and get another good line-out drive going.
I think there's even more people now there on the touchline than there were before, Abdullah. But Farid will keep a cool head about him. Hirushan in the front of the line-out, making sure that the communication is good. And the free kick is coming. So this is the lapse in concentration. And again, Wesley profiting from that. Hirushan and Farid having a discussion there. Farid just dummying that throw. And Wesley asking for the scrum. That's a strange decision, Abdullah. I thought that this point in the game, they just tap that ball and thump it way deep into the opposition territory. But they've obviously discussed this and they're comfortable. Ogbebor has been good today in the second row for Wesley. He's won some good lineouts. Started off a little bit weak and shied away from physical contact, but he's grown into this game as the season has continued. And Walpeter looking for Murshid Zubair. Zubair looking for the deep kick, and Dulan Gunawardana has only to shepherd that into touch. So clearly they knew what they were doing.
Yes, wonderful touch finder, just what Wesley would have wanted. Thumped it down again. That man Zubair, he's really played a big part in Wesley's performance today, with his runs, with his kicking game, both off the hand and off the tee as well.
And more than anything, that cool head Dayan Sabah knows that he can concentrate on the forwards as the captain and knows that something's going on at the back, and he'll have someone who'll sort it out. No way they're going to win a competition in the air with Fadil Adahan. So they do the next best thing and try and engage. Nikhil De Silva guiding his forward pack. Wesley's body position not as good as it was earlier on when they were defending this, and Royal marching it right up to halfway. That time we had Vijay Vardhana who added his bulk to it. Royal have gained 20 meters through that driving maul, and will now look to use their battering rams to good effect against this Wesley defense. Here's Tuleb Hassan. It's from a standing start but still makes the meters, the big man Malisha Madhumevan. Can his leadership bring something to this Royal attack now? Royal still on the gain line. Went off the leg, says the referee. Jayawardena came off the worst for wear in that situation. It's not pretty stuff here in the dying minutes of this game, but it's effective from Royal. They've moved 12 meters forward with this tactic. Farid waits and takes it. Here it is through Risit Fernando. Wesley are desperate not to concede the penalty. Here's Madhumevan. He's not in any hurry. Just knows that this will get them to the try line if they stay patient and don't lose the ball. Here's a big run from the number 8, Hirushan. Induvara Bimsara now, fresh legs on the park. Royal just trying to walk the ball over the try line. Tuleb Hassan just can't get away from Hansaja, who's done an excellent job on him. Adahan now trying to step his way out of the tackles. Nikhil De Silva, that's Murshid Zubair, read that like a book but just could not hold the ball. And just that little pop pass, unfortunately not sticking for the Wesley vice captain, but Royal live to breathe again, so they've got another opportunity. Sabit Feroz, Dayan Sabah being told something that they weren't told a little earlier when they had this chat.
Yes, something just seems to have really infuriated Sabah. Showing his arm. I wonder what that could be about. Let's have a look at that once again. Again, wonderful bit of anticipation by Zubair.
Sabit Feroz way away from the action on the wing, and he's saying, "Sir, I don't know what happened." Using that famed Arsene Wenger line, "I didn't see it." But it looks like there is a penalty coming for Wesley, because Royal seem to be retiring. Yes, referee hasn't really given an indication yet, and now there is a penalty. We don't know for what.
Well, looks like keeper Zabah has done a TJ Pianara.
Yeah, he done really well. Owen Farrell will be proud of that. Got in the referee's ear and said, "Look, sir, this is what happened to me, and milked a penalty. Well done, Saba. It's probably the best thing he can do for his team in that situation. So now we're back to the halfway line, and it's Wesley's ball. Jayawardene to throw in, and substitutions being made by Royal. Again, lots of movement in that line out, and brilliantly won by Wesley again. Walpeter to the big man coming in. Ball squirts out the back. It's still available. Walpeter looking for Hansaja, who steps back inside. Royal's defense is excellent though. Line speed is brilliant. And Rashmika, who's on the park now for Royal, making the tackle. Walpeter again looking for Zubair. Zubair with a long ball out. They've gone about 20 meters backwards now, but again, Royal's defense swarming. Jayawardene with the ball to Walpeter, keeping it available now. Here's Walpeter, who has very little option but to kick. And the ball dropped forward, picked up brilliantly. But knocked forward again by the Wesley player, which means that they will have to come back for the knock forward. Walpeter doing really well there again to just try and put some pressure when nothing was happening.
Yes, wonderful vision. He saw the Royal line very flat, decided to just do the kick ahead, chased it also extremely well. Royal just falling off those first time tackles, Shanaka, very unusual for them, and that's just giving Wesley just that little bit of go ahead, which normally they don't allow the opposition to do.
Well, something that a lot of Royal players have told me about is how it's difficult to raise themselves after the Bradby has been won. But surely a game of this intensity, a game of this quality can bring out the best in Royal.
Yes, but also let's not take anything away from Wesley. I think they've really come here with a lot of determination. They've really put their best foot forward, and they've really posed a real threat to this Royal team. And I think Coach Paul Toya and his staff can be very proud of this effort.
Absolutely, Abdullah. It's far from over, this game. But even if it finishes like this, I think Wesley can pat themselves on the back. Walpeter is okay. He'll hobble his way through to the end of this game, that's for sure, because he's been excellent too. Just one error early on in the first half. But apart from that, he's cleared his lines well and distributed excellently. And just controlled the game behind this 8 for Wesley. Allowed Murshid Zubair to weave his magic outside him. And it's that controlled number 10 play that we've seen from Walpeter today. It's nothing spectacular, but coaches love it.
Absolutely. And also, small word about Paranthiran. He hasn't got hold of the ball too many occasions, but when he has, he's looked absolutely dynamite and just foxed the Royal defense completely. So just one or two players have really just created a lot of problems for Royal's defense, and fortunately for Wesley, they just find themselves just 1 point down.
It looks like Walpeter has gone off, unfortunately, not able to continue. And Wesley will try and run this one with Murshid Zubair coming into the number 10 position. Needed to leave the ball behind. Yes, that's a penalty. Right on the spot, the referee. And Hansaja needed to release that ball before he got up and went again. And now Royal have an opportunity. Here's Farid stepping back inside. Royal still got plenty of fight left in them. They don't want to win this by 1, they want to win it by more. Good clean out of Sabah there. And here's Janid Dilshan. Can he spark something? Rishit Fernando has a man over. And Rashmika leaves the ball behind. Look for all money like he was in. They've taken it quickly, Wesley, and Paranthiran has the ball. Wesley won't care if they lose by 1 or lose by 8. And again the penalty. They had to go for it. And we have to discuss a man of the match as well. And whatever happens in this game, Abdullah, I can't really see anything beyond the performance of Murshid Zubair. Royal have been good and they'll probably end up winning the game. But the way that he has dominated this match and sparked so many good things, I think Murshid Zubair, even from the losing side, deserves a mention.
Couldn't agree with you more, Shanaka. I think he's the main reason why Wesley find themselves just a point down. And I think regardless of the result, a well-deserved man of the match award.
Nikhil De Silva will have one final salvo at this Wesley line. Royal have scored twice, they'll want to score thrice. The bonus point will most probably elude them in this game, so St. Peter's will not feel so bad about their result yesterday. But Adahan will want to walk this one over because Wesley have repelled their rolling maul much more so than any other team has managed to all the course of this season. Trinity will be looking at this game and thinking, what did we miss from a tactical point of view? Adahan keeps the ball. Good presence of mind from him until Wesley engage. And it's held up. And Nikhil De Silva gets a look. And Royal win the game by a point. That's the end of the match, and what a game it has been. An outstanding game of rugby football, unfortunately marred by that unnecessary delay towards the end of the game. Who knows what would have happened if the game was contested in those conditions as it was at that point. And here's again unnecessary scenes with crowds getting involved. This is exactly why the referees wanted the crowds to be controlled before the match. And Wesley have done brilliantly well to come this close to an outstanding Royal team. Many will say that they deserve the victory, Abdullah, but if you can't win the battle up front, and Wesley competed but didn't win it, if they can't win the battle up front, then life will end up like this.
Okay, this is just not what you want to see, Shanaka, from both sides of the crowd. And really, I think it's very, very unfortunate. It's been a wonderful game of rugby. Fortunately, Wesley just falling short.
That's Owen Askey, last year's Royal captain, unfortunately getting involved, and hopefully this can be finished up pretty quickly. Absolutely no need for any of this. Royals crowd have won the match. They should probably just retreat and go home. There's no need to drive the point home to Wesley either. And the Wesleyites as the hosts really need to make sure that this doesn't happen. And here's the highlights. This is more about rugby. Zubair's second penalty to draw level on the scoreboard. And Siat score the first try for Royal there, making a habit of it, the big prop forward. And this is the try of the match, really. Lovely inside burst from Hansaja and elusive swerve of the hips from Murshid Zubair, and gave that lovely little flicked pass, Abdullah. You see international players use that.
It's also the maturity to look for that supporting player, isn't it, Shanak? You find a lot of schoolboy players just hitting the gap and just running with eyes closed, but just his maturity to look for that support just says a lot about the caliber of this boy.
Himantha Hirushan with that try, that body angle, outstanding player. And the conversion of that penalty good from Wesley. Drew them level on the scoreboard, 10 points all. Sanity has prevailed here at Longdon Place. Real unfortunate scenes. Both sets of spectators entirely to blame. It was an emotional game. It was a charged game. Royal not used to this kind of closeness this season, but Wesley played out of their skins to become a 1-point game in what has been an outstanding match of rugby, which should be remembered for the right reasons. 18 points to 17. Congratulations to Royal for staying unbeaten, and congratulations also to Wesley for providing us with one of the best high-quality games of rugby tactically that we have seen this entire season. We'll be back with a lot more and news from the other matches over the course of this weekend on ThePapare.com.
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සනසුම දෙන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
අවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිඟ අති විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය.
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with current accounts from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank. Keep growing.
Some see a myriad of possibilities ready to break out in glory. The choice of every Sri Lankan, no limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිමි ශක්තිමත් ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසායි. ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි zero කරන නැවුම් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ඒ වගේම ඉස්සොරි වලින් නිදහස්. ක්ලියර් මෙන් ඉස්සොරි zero කරයි ලොව අංක 1 මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ.
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
සතුට බෙදන නම
ඔබ ළඟ රැඳි නම
සනසුම දෙන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මිහිර මවන නම
අවස නිවන නම
සෙනෙහ බෙදන නම
එය සිංහ නම
මුළු පවුලට සතුට සදන සිඟ අති විශිෂ්ට විශ්වාසය.
Isn't it time to grow up? Now you can with home loans, education loans and vehicle loans from DFCC Bank. DFCC Bank. Keep growing.
Let's start a life-changing partnership. Union Assurance.
Energetic and daring, some see the world in vibrant shades. The choice of every Sri Lankan, no limit.
පිරිසිදු ෆ්‍රෙෂ් හිසක් තියෙන පිරිමි ශක්තිමත් ඒත් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි වලට පුළුවන් ඒ ශක්තිය නැති කරන්න මම ක්ලියර් මෙන් තෝරගන්නේ ඒ නිසායි. ක්ලියර් මෙන් අධික තෙල් සහ ඉස්සොරි zero කරන නැවුම් මෙන්තෝල් වලින් සමන්විත නිසා මගේ හිස කෙස් හැම විටම ෆ්‍රෙෂ් ඒ වගේම ඉස්සොරි වලින් නිදහස්. ක්ලියර් මෙන් ඉස්සොරි zero කරයි ලොව අංක 1 මෙන්ස් ෂැම්පූ.